Stop talking, Claire. I am waffling. I waffle so you have no idea how hard it is to edit a Dance Geek video. Because this person right here, verbal diarrhea, it is called. I suffer from verbal diarrhea. Anyway. Hi everyone, it's Claire. Welcome back to Dance Geek. Today's video is my top 5 tips from a dance adjudicator to make your solo competition routines that bit better. This video, like the previous video, if you haven't watched it, I'll link it. That one focuses on my top 5 tips for groups. But these videos came about because I've been adjudicating for pretty much 6 years now. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to get the info out there and tell you, look, this is what I personally have seen and I think will help you. I'm not going to just tell you, do this. I'm going to try and give you some hints and tips on how to actually fix that. To illustrate these tips, and I'm speaking like this because this is just a little bit shady of me, but to illustrate these tips, I'm going to be using solo routines from Dance Mums. I'm not a big fan of Dance Mums, mostly because I am not a fan of Abby Lee Miller at all. Whether or not Abby is actually like she is in the show in real life doesn't matter. The influence she has and has had on young dancers, on young girls in particular, is huge, and it's showing young dancers and young girls that it's okay to be treated like crap. No, it's not. It's also showing other teachers that in order to be the best, you have to yell at your kids and treat them like scum and bully them. No, you don't do that. One of the other things I hate about Abby is, and this could be an edit thing, I don't care, it's what we see. She'll do things like, she'll just say, stretch your feet! Okay, clearly, if you've been telling Nia Sue to stretch her feet for 10 years and she still can't do it, there's nothing wrong with that child, there's something wrong with you. You are the educator.
And your kid doesn't have the technique. She does.
No, you know what, Abby? You're her technique teacher.
So I'm going to use footage from specific Dance Mums routines to show you how I would help these girls, or how I would explain it to them and what's actually going on with these issues. Also, I'm not criticizing them. When I'm adjudicating, I'm never criticizing the child, because you are two things. You are a child and you are a student. You are still learning. So any harsh criticism, if it's something like this is entered in the wrong section, that is directed at the person who entered them. It's directed at the people, the adults who are behind this child. So teachers, parents, choreographers, whatever. Okay? Tip number 1, if you've watched my groups video, if you have had me as an adjudicator before, you will probably have heard me say this. Try to neaten and strengthen the connecting steps. This is a really common problem I see. Dancers in general are going for the trick. They're going for the big high point. How you get there and how you get out of it, those details in between, that's dancing. That's what will make your routine more than just a display of skills. Neatening and strengthening gives you aesthetic and physical benefits. So aesthetics, for those of you who don't know that word, learn it. It's a great word for dancers. Aesthetic is the visual. It's what it looks like and what it makes you feel, as in you, the audience. Whereas physically, having strong connecting steps and having strong footwork gives you the strength, gives you more control and power in your skills, coming in and out. Have a look at this playlist for feet. So it's all about conditioning and strengthening the feet, using the feet correctly. Some great exercises in there on how to do this properly. So our first Dance Mums analysis is Nia Sue. I love Nia. I think she's a gorgeous performer. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to first of all look at a photo of Nia. So it's a still shot from a routine that she did in, I think, the 2nd season. Let me check. Season 2. Yeah, season 2, episode 10. This jazz solo, if you see here, this skill here, this chest stand, happens early-ish in the routine. What I do as an adjudicator is I get a gauge of what the dancer's feet are able to do. What is their full range. And if you've got someone who has really great feet, I'll often say, you have great feet, make sure you use them. Nia doesn't have naturally great feet. So me telling this kid to stretch her feet is so unhelpful because she is. Okay, so if we look at this chest stand picture, I'll put it in here. If we look at this chest stand picture, you can tell she is stretching her feet as much as she can. All right, that is her foot stretch. Okay, so what I want to see then is that she is using her feet with as much strength as she has. So we're going to have a look at a section of the dance. We can see here that back leg is not, the foot is not stretched. When she puts it down, it's most likely not going to be very controlled. And then we have these flat-footed little steps in between into that hip round. Okay, if your feet are looking like clubs or floppy pillows on the end of your legs, they're going to weigh you down. Okay. So that's not a strong foot, which means it's not a functional, useful foot, and it doesn't look as good, okay? It makes you look heavy. My concern with Nia and her feet and how Abby deals with it is that I only ever really heard her say, stretch your feet, your feet, Nia, your feet. Yeah, she's got feet, cool. Give her some instruction. Tip number 2. Make sure your routine is entered in the correct section. I'm really big on this because the way I do my adjudication, I have my spreadsheet on my computer. The reason I'm pointing like this is because I actually have my lappy in front of me. And I have specific things I'm looking for based on the style. So if you have entered your routine in the wrong section, there are going to be certain things that I can't mark you on because you're not doing them. All right? Read the rules of each comp that you are entering. Even if you've entered that comp previously, read the rules because sometimes they change and they don't necessarily tell you outright. We have changed this. Most comps will though. If they've had a big change to sections, they will tell you, but read your rules anyway, okay? I do it for every comp that I'm adjudicating at. I look at the rules and I have a copy of the rules, or as some call it, the syllabus. I have a copy of that with me while I'm adjudicating. Check the rules for each different comp as they differ. This specifically applies to acrobatics and jazz styles, so you want to see if they have a jazz section and a separate musical theatre Broadway jazz section. If they do, and the song that you are dancing to is from a musical, whether that be the movie, the stage show, or even the Glee version, if it is a musical, then you need to enter into the musical theatre Broadway section, okay? Not into jazz. Check the rules on acrobatic tricks. A lot of comps are putting restrictions on how many acro tricks can be done in a jazz or a lyrical, for example, and have separate sections such as an acro solo, and some even have acrobatic jazz. In this tip, making sure you're entering in the correct section, now we come to contemporary versus lyrical. Okay, this is super important because it irritates the bejeebers out of me. So I see a lot of contemporary sections and I get very excited because I love contemporary. I love all dance sections, obviously, but just the thing I love about watching a contemporary section is I love to see how people are experimenting with movement, because contemporary is experimenting. So what can we do with the body, with movement to convey X or convey this, right? I love it. But I see a lot of lyricals entered into contemporary sections. And then we have dance moms, which is useless at contemporary. Or of all the contemporary routines I've seen on that, maybe 2 of them could have been passed as contemporary, and even then they're not great contemporary. So we're going to have a look at a routine danced here by Maddie. This routine is called Quiet Voices. As you can see here, it is entered as a contemporary. This is not a contemporary. It's not. Now, before I get into analysing a little section of this, I'm going to show you an animation that I created. It's just a PowerPoint animation. I'm not that excitingly good at animation. Okay, so I want you to think of it as a timeline. We have a timeline. At one end, we have tradition, tutus, turnout of classical ballet. On the other end, we have modern, fast, exciting kicks, jumps, turns of jazz. Now, no one in the dance world needs a definition really to distinguish the 2 of those. Classical, jazz. We know what they are, okay? Next up, what happens is we have an evolution of classical dance. Moving towards the more modern end, but still a fair bit away, is neoclassical. Neo means new, so it's new classical. We use turned out positions, but we also use parallel positions. You can use more modern music, but it's still very closely linked to classical ballet. On the other end of the scale, growing out of jazz, we have lyrical. The definition of lyrical is really hard. That's where people get a bit confused, all right? So I'm going to give you 2 little definitions that I find are helpful, okay? One, a student told me this and I was like, that's genius. She said, if you can name the steps, you're doing lyrical. If you can't name the steps, you're doing contemporary. The second definition will help as well, and I think this one might help you the most to figure it out, but this is my definition and it is definitely a little bit shady. I'm sorry, I do like a good lyrical, but I feel lyrical has caused a lot of problems. So I'm a little bit on it, okay? But here we go. Lyrical. Because jazz dancers have feelings too. So lyrical is all the steps from jazz, but done slower, more emotion, not necessarily the emotions. Sometimes it's a happy one. Please do happy ones occasionally. It's moving away from straight jazz, which is pop, 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 big and poppy, and moving a little bit more towards ballet. Then we move into this weird and wonderful vortex of experimentation, which is contemporary. Okay, contemporary is when your teacher will be saying, and moving here and through and up and down and then into this thing, not step, kick, step ball change, part of a pirouette. I don't know what that combination is, but basically that was just me saying a whole bunch of actual terms. Whereas with contemporary, the steps are new. The movement is new, so they're not named yet. Okay, so if the majority of your steps in your routine have names, you're not doing contemporary. Let's watch Maddie. I like Maddie. Kid can dance. So this is also a season 2 routine. That's a fairly standard step. The plie into that. These are all very standard steps. Okay, they're very standard. She occasionally in this routine does some interesting gestures, and she does a little pony trot thing with her feet. Doesn't make it contemporary. Okay, it's very stock standard and choreographically not a contemporary. There's no experimentation here. Just not, couldn't mark it as a contemporary because it is a lyrical, and I'd be looking for different things. Simple as that. Make sure your routines are entered in the correct section so the adjudicator can actually do their job. So we've reached the midway point, which means coffee time. What's that? Oh yes, it is the greatest mug ever. Anyway, tip number 3. Try to draw more strength from your plie and fondue. Quick definition. Plie, generally we talk about plie when you bend your legs. Foot is on the floor, bend your leg, one leg or two, we call it a plie. However, technically, if you're on one leg, it's a fondue. If you're on 2 legs, it's a plie. So sometimes I'll be like, yeah, fondue. Draw more strength from the plie. Some people bend their legs before they jump because it's just an instinct that all humans have. As dancers, we want to jump higher, and when we're up there, we want to do more exciting, difficult things than what we would normally do jumping in a pedestrian, human kind of way. So you need to use more strength from that plie. It's like a pinball machine spring. If you pull it a little bit and it bends down just a little bit, boom, the ball goes up, just goes up a little bounce, okay? And if you want a lot of push out of that, pull the spring all the way down, and the ball goes nuts, and it's exciting and it's great, okay? I covered this on day 6 of my 100 Days of Dance Life on my Instagram channel, so have a little look at that video now.
Hi everyone, welcome to day 9 of Dance Geek's 100 Days of Dance Life. And today is Tuesday, so that means Technique Tuesday. Now today's technique has a lot to do with those crazy people jumping around in the background on the trampoline, because today we're going to talk about plie. Unless you have a trampoline when you're dancing, you need to use your plie when you do your jump. And using your plie doesn't just mean bend your knees. Draw strength from the ground on the way up, and on the way down you want to absorb the landing like a sponge. As usual, there'll be some links below to other videos that'll help you with this, especially one from Lazy Dancer Tips, who is anything but lazy. So use your plies. Okay. Happy dancing.
In that video, in the caption, I actually listed 4 videos that help with this. Now all 4 of those videos are in my playlist to do with plies and to do with jumps. Okay, so most of the time with this, we're talking about jumping. However, this is also going to help with your connecting steps, just to draw strength from that buoyancy, or in ballet we call it ballon. Okay, ballon gives you strength, but it also gives you a beautiful artistry and a beautiful flavor to your routine. Flavor. We are going to use a duo for this one. I know I'm talking about solos, but this was a really good example of the need to draw more strength. Okay, it's a duet by Bryn and Jojo. A lot of elements of this duet I really enjoyed, even choreographically. However, they get heavy, and that heaviness is often in dances. We often say, you need more strength through the core, you need more stamina. Yeah, you do. But a stronger, more buoyant, more ballonish, a more bouncy plie, a more useful and strong and springy plie and fondue helps when you get tired, because it's your lower body is then actually doing its job, and it's not just your core flopping down on top of legs that cannot help you. So let's have a look. Tip number 4, make sure the use of the arms is coming from the muscles in the upper back, not the top of the shoulders. Kendall is constantly told off about her shoulders. Now, this irritates me, not her, but her getting told off irritates me because they don't tell her how to fix it. And even if they're doing it off camera, they're obviously not doing it very well because it doesn't get fixed.
I know, nobody can see what you're doing because you're like this to the back.
Jill, if you don't do something about her posture, it's gonna get so bad.
Kendall, just focus on what you're doing right now. We'll discuss this later.
Oh yeah, much later, when she's in a back brace, because she can't stand up.
Can you let her run her number, Abby?
You're another mother not owning up to her kids' flaws.
Abby, I can't help her body physique.
I have told her to stand up straight.
And so have I. How many times a day? At least how many?
God.
How many, Kendall?
Get over yourself. I didn't trash your kid.
No.
I don't want Maddie's reputation ruined.
I don't either.
Kendall, you better stand up straight, because I've had it.
Kendall, oh, I love her. All right, so not just another pretty face is the solo we're watching. So we're going to look towards the end of the story. Solos towards the end when your body's fatiguing, and those bad habits come in. Hello, up go the shoulders. She's jumping and lifting her arms, and now she's doing a series of quite difficult turns, and she's thinking up, which means her shoulders are going up. Look, it's obviously not completely inhibiting her ability to do these steps, but it's definitely ruining her line, and it's going to also contribute to creating bad habits. There's going to have to be some sort of compensation somewhere else in the body. Something in the body is going to be doing something wrong because this is not right. When dance teachers talk about shoulders, what I want you to do is don't actually think of the shoulders. Don't just put your shoulders down. You need to activate those muscles in the back and pull them down and in, like a V or a cross. That gives you a much prettier line, and it helps with your balance. Function and aesthetic, physical and fun. Yeah. Tip number 5. Take care with your leg alignment in extensions and kicks. Now, dancers, listen to me. When you lift your leg, you should not start in the top of the hip or the glute. I know you've been told not to use the thigh to lift. I get that. I've even heard Abby Lee Miller say that. But you don't start a kick or a développé or any kind of extension in the hip, even if you're tilting, okay? Even if the pelvis is eventually going to go that way, don't start there, okay? Don't start, boom. If this is your pelvis and you're going into a tilt, yes, it will get there. Same with an arabesque. If you're doing a deep arabesque, even anything above 45 degrees, your pelvis will tilt forward. I get that, or the coccyx bone, tailbone will go back. I get that. Don't start from that. The alignment of the supporting leg should show a stacked alignment where the knee is over the toe, and if you're on releve, the ankle is centered over the toe, and we've got lovely building blocks up. This whole alignment thing, it's a huge problem for young dancers, so under 12. And the reason it's a problem for them is because they are young, their bodies are still developing, and no matter how fabulous a dancer they are, they do not physically have the strength or the development in their bodies. No matter how many ballet classes they do, how many conditioning classes, they just don't have that strength. And the industry is pushing them to be able to do more and more and more and more at a younger age. And this is not good. This is not good for their bodies because they don't have the strength to do it, to hold the alignment. So they don't have the strength to do it safely. But here's the kicker. You can still do it. You can still do the skill. So we don't pick up on it as much. But it's a safety thing and it's a longevity thing, okay? As I say a lot at comps, as dancers, even the safest, most careful dancer is still gonna have a short shelf life because we put our bodies through so much. Don't shorten your shelf life even more by doing silly things now to win a competition that you're gonna regret in the future. You're gonna get to 25 and hopefully be wanting to be working as a performer a lot, and you can't because of injuries that happened when you were 10. All right. This is not just me saying this. This is a lot of dance physiotherapists and just physios in general are coming out and saying, just doctors in general are saying that they're seeing young dancers with lower back and hip injuries that they see from elderly people, like octogenarians, 80-year-olds who have these injuries because they have been on this earth for 80 years and their bones have just gone, no, I'm done. Okay, so they're wear and tear injuries. Be careful. Be really careful with that alignment, guys, because it's not worth it. It's not worth your career, and it's not worth the pain that you feel eventually. My hope is that across the board, adjudicators will start penalising for this, or at least just not rewarding it. Now, let's have a look at what I mean. Let's have a look at some dance mums. We're going to look at photos of this because it's actually easier to see. I see a lot of people on social media, on dance pages and things, particularly on Instagram. Someone will post a photo and everyone will be like, oh, that's beautiful, amazing, you're a freak. And I'm sitting there looking at it going, no, because the alignment's completely out. So, this is an interesting picture. Let's have a look. Chloe and Maddie both doing kicks. If you can't, as a dancer, look at this and tell which one is a better, more correctly placed kick, yeah, keep learning. Okay, but that's okay, we all keep learning. But anyway, what is Maddie doing here? What is she doing? What is she doing? Yes, they're very young here, I get it, but that's my point, they're young. So if this is her natural kick on releve, where her supporting leg, remember we talked about stacking, have a look at where her knee is. I think this is supposed to be a pull-up leg as well, and it's not. So she's got a relaxed knee. It's not a deliberate fondue. It's a relaxed knee. A relaxed knee isn't going to be very strong to support this step. Her hips are completely turned around. So she's doing a front kick with her hips in an open position, which is not right. And her upper body is collapsing forward. So things you can look at for correct alignment through the legs is not just the legs. You look at the back and look at the upper body, and you look at the two sides of the body and see if you've got a long side and a really short side. Often, not all the time, but often that is going to be an indication of that's this bad alignment. Now let's look at one of my favourite and I think one of the best technical dancers that was ever on Dance Mums, and that's Kalani. Now, yes, I know she's technically really good and all of that because she got her training somewhere else, not at Abbey Lee. Makes sense. Okay, so let's have a look at this side mount picture. Pretty good. Problem is, everyone would look from centre up. That's lovely. That it really is. It's nice. Well done. Nice straight leg, beautifully pointed foot. Love that straight line on the arm out there, long neck. See, we've got quite a good placement in the body. Yes, there is a curve, a shortening in the same side as the working leg, as the kicked leg, but it's not a particularly bad one. But look at her supporting leg go down and look at the supporting leg. It's called a supporting leg for a reason. It's supposed to support you. And if you don't have good support, what's the point? Her knee is being pushed inward and her ankle is being pushed inward. That pushing on those two joints, so ankle, knee, push, is going to affect those joints. It's going to put wear and tear onto those joints. It's also probably going to push up into the hip as well, okay? And here we have Paige. This is an extension on fondue. Again, yeah, that leg looks great. Look at that support leg though, guys. She's forcing that knee forward. The knee is actually taking all of her weight and it's not even touching anything. So that knee is being pushed forward and it's taking the weight of the world. Whereas the foot is connected to the floor and because it's connected to the floor, it can take that excess weight of the whole body. The knee doesn't have anything underneath it. Okay, so it's just into there. No. All right. So there are my top 5 tips for solo routines. I really do believe that they will help take your routines to that other level and really make your routine stand out from everybody else's. In the researching and filming of this video and the previous one, the groups ones, I've realized that each of these tips could actually make a video in and of themselves. So I'm not actually going to do that because these tips form the basis of the Dance Geek workshops that I've put together. They're not the whole thing, but they form the basis. And I'm not going to do a video about all of these things that I've put together and put it out on YouTube for free. I have a living to make. But I am going to do some of them. So what I want to do is get your opinion. What videos would you like to see? Based on the tips from this video and the groups video, which ones do you want? Let me know in the comments below. I'm also going to be putting some of them into my Technique Tuesdays on Instagram. Okay, so if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you liked my Jack Skellington t-shirt and my unicorn cup, give it a thumbs up. And also I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed to my channel and hit the notifications bell. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you in my next video. Keep dancing.